Okay, hello everyone. This is Victor Momo from Excel Moments. And again, it's been a moment, but we are back. And what are we going to discuss today? This is a deep dive into the GoTo special dialogue. For those who haven't heard of it before, I would introduce you to it. For those of us who have and who are a little familiar with it, I'm just going to show, use cases or examples of how, all the components there can be used. So what exactly is GoTo special? It really is just a way of streamlining your selection. A lot of times you select, like 1000 cells or all the cells, but maybe the cells you are interested in are just cells that meet certain criteria, maybe cells that have notes or comments in them, cells that have conditional formatting, cells that contain data validation. So when you want to streamline, rather than just selecting, you do like a special selection. So that's where really the go-to special comes in. So how do we get to the go-to special so we know what exactly we are talking about? There are a couple of ways. The first one is if you press Control G. Control G will give you go to. So this is the go to dialog box. Typically, you can use this to go to, a particular address. You can just type the address in here and do OK, and it takes you there. But you now have special here. So you could press Alt S to invoke that special button. So essentially Control G Alt S, and you'd see all the options that you have in here. Okay, and these are all we'll be talking about in this video or in this series of videos, because I expect it to be about, two or three videos. Okay, so that's one way. The other way you can get to it is on the home tab. You can go to find and select. Now you would see go to. If you select go to, it gives you the go to dialog. First of all, you now have to click special, but you can just click go to special here. All right. Okay, so if you're looking for a shortcut for that, it would be Alt H. H will take you to home. Then you need an FD to take you to find and select FD, and you need an S. So it's an Alt H FDS. Okay, and if you think that's too long, what I just did here was to put it on the quick access toolbar, which is this round icon that you see here, go to special. So I can invoke the shortcut. In my own case, it's going to be Alt 6, and that makes it much easier. So I'm going to go, piece by piece and just show you when and how you can use them. Trust me, there are other alternatives to, most of these solutions here, but it's just to get us more conversant or acquainted with the go-to special dialog. Okay, so let's go on. The first one we have is what? Notes. We know that, okay, fine, now in Excel we have what? Notes and comments, where we typically can just put, like previously just a comment in the cell, and that's really it. But now, you can actually have like, a multi-threaded comment section where somebody puts a comment and you reply and so on. So previously, if you had looked at the go-to special, if I remember correctly, where we have notes now, we used to have comments. Okay, but for this discussion, we'll take them as one and the same. So what do I want to do in this case? And this was a question that was posed recently on one of the online forums, where somebody said, oh, he wanted every cell that had a comment, to have a text in there, maybe a particular text. So what I want to do is every cell that has a comment in it right now, I want to put the text, maybe comments. Okay. So, but now the question is, how do I select, just the cells that have comments? Ideally, I can see the indicator here, so I know there's a comment in here, there's a comment in here, there's a comment in here. I'd have to go from cell to cell. Rather than do that, what do? I would use the go to special so I can select cells that contain only notes or comments. So here I'm going to do Control Shift down to select this entire column, since I know that's where the notes are. I press my Control G to get go to. I press Alt S for special, right? And then I select notes. When I select notes, it's obviously selected first of all, but I need to put the OK button. You will see what happens. You can see now that the only cells that you have selected are those that have what? Comments. So once you are in this position, you can then replace all of them with a particular text and say maybe handled, for example. So we take advantage of two things here. The fact that when we have multiple cells selected and you press Control Enter, whatever you type in the first cell is populated across all the cells. So in this case, I'm just going to say handled. Rather than pressing enter, I will press Control Enter, and the word handled will populate, through all the cells that are selected. Control Enter. Okay, and you see that all of them are what now having the word handled in there. Okay, so that's how I was able to streamline to only cells that contain what comments using the what GoTo special window. The next one is what formulas. Okay, so let's take two of those options at the same time here. What I have here is a mix of numbers, logicals, that's your true, false, or booleans as you want to call them, formulas, I have formula in here, okay, and I have some errors in here. And just to show you how you can use the GoTo special window to select just cells that meet a certain criteria. So first of all, let's select the entire data. I can just do Control A in this case. Now I'm going to do my Alt 6 for my own case, just to make it easier. So now, if I say constants, what do you expect it to do? It's just going to select cells that essentially just have what? Constants in them. That is, they do not contain formulas. So look at what it has selected. It selected everything that isn't a formula, whether it is text, whether it is Boolean, but so long as it's not a formula in that sense. That's what it refers to as constant. So if you needed to make a change to all of them at the same time, you could actually do this. Ideally, you could create a new column and then use formulas to make some changes. But most times when we want to do things in situ, in place, just changing it where they currently are, we can take advantage of, the GoTo special. So with constants, it just selects everything that is not a formula. So even though some of the other things they look like, oh, they actually, just text, you can see now that there's actually some differentiation between them. Okay, so let's go again. Control A. Now I do my Alt 6. Sorry. Okay, now let's go with formulas. So with formulas, once you say okay, it's going to select every cell that is a formula, but you can then drill down and say, okay, for example, I want only formulas that are what? Logical. What would that mean? That would mean only a formula that produces a Boolean, that produces either what? A true or a false. So if I do okay, let's look at what's selected. You see the two cells at the bottom are what's selected? Even though you can see true and false here, sorry, there are three of them rather. Sometimes it might just be good to put a color. So you see, yeah, so there are three of them. Okay, I can do Control Z. So you can see that even though I have true and false here, they are not selected. Why? Because they are not generated using a formula. They were just typed in. So let's see the difference. This is true, this is false, whereas this one here uses a formula that returns the true. These two at the bottom also use a formula that returns the true. So with that, you can select, just cells that contain formulas, but formulas that result in a certain, type of result. Okay. So you could also have done the same to say formulas that maybe only give me what? Errors. Okay. So anything that has maybe like an NA, an division by 0, norm, and all that will be selected. So as you can see now, you can see the two cells that are selected are what? Are error cells. A division by 0 error, and more or less like a not available error, which resulted in this case from a VLOOKUP. Okay, so it's just a way, like I said, for the GoTo special of streamlining your selection. Rather than looking at a wider range of cells, you can just look at what, as in a subset based on criteria. So let's go into one which I like very well. Select blanks. Okay, this is one very interesting one. And back where I used to work, there's a report I used to get that looked something like this. Now, what exactly is this? This is something I just made up, obviously. So don't try to read too much into it. It's supposed to be like, what will I call it now? Just a report that shows attendance, like an attendance report. Okay, how many days did a particular worker come to work for that month? Okay, and then you have it by department. Now ideally what should happen is that all the way from here down to this, it's supposed to be admin. So this is all admin. When you come here, this is all what? Business development, and so on. But the way the report comes, only the first row has the department, and you want to fill in those blanks because you really can't do anything meaningful from an analytical standpoint with the data the way it is. If you want to do a pivot table, this isn't going to make sense, right? And most times when you want to do any analysis, you don't want to have blank cells. You want to have, like a complete X by Y, like a table that contains, X rows, Y columns, and everything has data. So what we want to do in this case really is just to update all of this. I can easily do what? Control C, I'll do Control Shift down. I will come up by one, press Control V, then I'll go to the next one, to Control down, Control C, Control Shift. But with so many breaks in between, that cannot be an efficient way to go. Just imagine this was 3,000 rows of data. Would you do that? That's the question you always ask yourself. If that method is probably not efficient for, a large data set, then, maybe you need to think of a better way. So what we are going to do in this case is we are just going to select only the blank cells. Once we can get the blank cells selected, we are going to do something very simple. In the blank cells, I would just say, for example, equals to the cell above me. Huh? If I say equals to the cell above me, this will then become admin. If the cell below that is also equals to the cell above it, it becomes admin, admin, and that's how it keeps going on. And the same thing will happen in this section. So how do we then select the blanks? Do we do this manually? No. We use the GoTo special. So first of all, let me try to select the entire column, which is difficult, entire column that has data, but you can get it with some tricks. So I'll start from here. I'll do Control Shift End. Control Shift End takes me, to the end of the table, but I'm only interested in getting to the end of column 1, in this case, column B. So I hold the Shift and I come back with the back left arrow. Okay, and now I have all this selected. So now I'm going to invoke the GoTo special. I do Alt 6 in this case, and now I select blanks. Okay, and blanks, I do what? Okay, now I have all the blank cells selected. From this point, you really do not need to use your mouse. It's all a keyboard operation right now, because if you use your mouse, you probably deselect one of the cells or take out from the selection, and that's not what you want. You want the selection maintained the way it is. So right now, I just start typing in the first cell. I say equals to. I want this cell to be equals to the cell above it. Somebody may mistakenly click and select that cell. If you do that, you will deselect everything. So rather than that, just use the up arrow key. Okay, and you can see it's equals to B3. Now, if you press enter, this formula would only be in that cell. But if you press Control Enter, it will populate across all the cells. Okay, and that's what we'll do. So once we do that, we'll press Control Enter. Now you see what has happened. Because everybody is equal to the cell above it, and that's how each one gets its value all the way to the bottom. So you can see that I have it all filled. The only thing I might need to do here now at this point is just to do a paste special and convert to value. So I do Control Shift down, Control C, I do Alt ES to bring up my paste special. I select V as values and I do OK. And that is done. Okay. So I'm going to do one more, then I would stop and then move into a second video. Okay, so that this maybe is just about 10 minutes long or thereabout. Okay, so current array and current region. This is an interesting one. Okay, so for the current region is just equivalent to pressing Control A, right? If I were in this cell and I press Control A, you know what it's going to do? Pretty much just the boundaries of that data set. If I were in here and I do Control A, it's going to do the same thing. So if I were in a cell and I then do my GoTo special and I select current region, if I wanted to select every cell in the current region, I just do OK, and it does that. So it's equivalent to just pressing Control A once you're in one of the cells. The one that I want to really talk about, I think I have a video on it though, is current array. This used to be a big problem when we still used to write a lot of formulas that have CSE, Control Shift Enter. You can have a single cell Control Shift Enter formula. You can have a multi-cell, Control Shift Enter formula. And the multi-cell can give headaches sometimes, especially for people that are not familiar with it. So look at this data set here. Essentially, I have some items. I have their prices. I have the quantities. Now, the amount is supposed to be what? The price times the quantity. 100 is correct in this case, but for the others, it's not. And if you look, you can see that there are some curly brackets around it. So somebody wanted to type in the formula, selected all the cells, Instead of pressing Control Enter, so the formula would populate to all the cells, you press Control Shift Enter. Now we have a problem. The problem is I want to correct this, but I don't know, where the array extends to. Now, see what happens when I press delete here so that I can update the formula. It says you can't change part of an array. Now, what exactly is the array? Where does the array extend to? I don't know. I tried to delete the second one. It says the same thing. I tried to delete 1 and 2. It says the same thing. So I'm like, okay, where exactly are the limits of this array? What do? I just select one cell where I know, there's probably a problem, which is part of the array. I do my GoTo special. I'll be using my Alt 6 here now, and I select current array. When I select current array, from that cell, it looks at what array that cell belongs to or a part of. And you can see that now I can see the cells. Oh, so there are actually 4 cells that were part of that array. Now I can press what? Delete. And then I can, re-enter my formula. This time I can select the 4 cells and just do this times this and do Control Enter. Okay, and it's fine. So this one is really one that has messed a lot of people up. You really can't figure where the array starts and where it ends. What are the boundaries of the array? So with GoTo Special and current array, you can get that done. So this is where I would want to end this first video, and I will continue in second series. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. You can also subscribe to the channel Excel Moments. And like I always say, if you can think it, Excel most likely can do it. So see you in the next video. For now, I'm out.